I'll record it to the cloud so I can send you the link and you can have it.
Okay, great. Let's speak about our passion for coaching and really helping people to bring their best to the surface. And our project, which we plan to start soon, which is Think and Grow Rich, and that we are going to dedicate our time every week to speak deeply about each of the chapters, because this book is so powerful that it helped millions of people to become millionaires, yes, and transform life of so many people, and big legends like Bob Proctor, who also inspired me to grow and transform my life. Yes, was one of who was
Well,
reading
it's
this.
it's been one of my favorite books my whole life. I
Um,
Years ago I was with a group of people. We were in New Orleans, Louisiana, and we were in like the tourist area by the old church, Jackson Square, where they have the artist out on the street. It's a place in the US that looks like a place that would be in Europe. You know, there's all these street vendors and horseback carriages and artists. Well, there was a lady reading tarot cards, and I'm not into fortune telling or tarot cards, but one of the girls in our group, wanted to have her palm read and wanted some tarot card. So I said, well, this is entertainment. Let's check it out. And she was talking to her about there was a line on her hand that represented money, and that line needed to be longer. So she could work on that. And the way to work on that was to read books about money to understand. And she's like, not textbooks, like understanding how to be rich. And Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I was maybe 17 years old. I wasn't, I maybe had started college, but I may have still been in high school. You know, I was young. And that book, the name stayed in my head, like Napoleon. I'm thinking of Bonaparte, Napoleon. It's not a common name. And not long after that, I got my first sales job. And the boss said, good salespeople read self-help books. So I went to the bookstore and I'm getting, 1 Minute Manager, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, Zig Ziglar Secrets, just basic sales books. And in that section of books, I see this Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It wasn't necessarily a sales book, but it was in that section. And I was like, that hand reader, palm reader lady from the French Quarter recommended this book. And here it is in this section where I'm looking for books. So I added it to the stack of books that I bought. And it was the first one I read. And man, uh, the preface or preface, I always say that wrong, but whatever. The preface before the introduction of the book talks about, his origin story and interviewing Andrew Carnegie, who was a big deal at the time. Um, and but what he did was he had this secret. He lets you know there's a secret in this book. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You might figure it out 5 minutes into the book. It might take the whole book to realize it, but it's going to reveal itself to you. And I was like thinking to myself, well, this is a clever trick to get me to read the whole book. What an interesting way. And I mean, it's a book. I don't remember when it was written, but I think in the 1930s, so it's almost 100 years old. Um, so I guess different marketing things were different back then. We didn't have social media or even television. So, things to market books and things like that were different. But it really stuck with me because I read the book and it was life-changing, amazing. It was awesome. I read it again later when I was a little bit older. And then after college, I had moved. I was roped into this book club it was an interesting book club. Like I had nothing in common with anybody in the book club. They were all from the big city. It was like four gay guys and one uh, British black woman who was a socialist. Like nothing, I had nothing in common with these people, but it was a book club and they were wanting to read Gone with the Wind, another book from the 30s, which I secretly loved that book. I secretly loved that movie. I mean, Gone with the Wind was a big deal. It was a book. My grandmother had turned me onto it when I was a kid, and I read the whole thing. It's that thick. Um, so they were reading a book club where we meet weekly to talk about Gone with the Wind. I was all excited, and so we met and we read. And I got more out of the book than I'd ever gotten before, and I was like, okay. And they said, well, Paul, it's your turn to pick a book. I was like, all right. So I picked Think and Grow Rich, and we did a book club with Think and Grow Rich. And these were people who had never read this type of book before. They'd never heard of it. And the when we had our meeting, uh, when I was announcing what the book was going to be, I read the preface, and especially that part where it talks about, the secrets to success is hidden. In fact, it's it's
Mhm.
really good.
Yeah, the secrets of success is hidden in the books.
Right, but you know, you the fair idea of what the reading of the book may bring to you is provides that you know what you want, right? You can't, it's not going to tell you what you want. You already know.
Yes, the
But
secret of ages is hidden in the books.
it says remember too as you go through the book that it deals with facts and not with fiction. Its purpose being to convey a great universal truth through which all who are ready may learn not only what to do but also how to do it, and receive as well the needed stimulus to make a start. Um, as a final word of preparation before you begin the first chapter, for one brief suggestion, which may provide a clue as to which Carnegie's secret may be recognized. In this, all achievement, all earned riches have their beginning in an idea. If you're ready for the secret, you already possess one half of it. Therefore, you will readily recognize the other half the moment it reaches your mind. But it says, like, when it reveals itself to you, stop and have a drink and reflect on it. And so I thought, okay, well, maybe I wasn't sure what the secret was, even though I'd read it multiple times. So I wanted to have a group and we could read chapter by chapter. We could find this freaking secret. And we never, it was something a little bit different to each of us. But one of the people in the group, and this is remarkable, he got something that I would have never thought out of Think and Grow Rich. He was single and he had recently broke up with someone that he'd been with for a long time. And he wrote down on a piece of paper, in 12 months, I will find the love of my life and begin a relationship that will last the rest of my life.
Hello, Elena. So,
Yes, wow, amazing.
And I'm thinking to myself, I think you read the book wrong because that has nothing to do with this book. This book is about getting rich and leverage.
Mhm.
No, no. Um, Within 6 months, Trent met Rupert. And this was probably 1999, 2000, 2001, that time period. Trent and Rupert are still together. They own they have an empire of rental homes. Like they own a bunch of houses that people rent and kind of scattered all over the place. Um, they invested in a construction company. I mean, they're doing very well. But it was almost like he wrote it down. He showed me the little piece of paper. He wrote it down and he put it in his wallet. So sometimes if money came out, the little piece of paper would come out and he would be reminded that he wrote that down. And it was less than a year. And there's part in the book, and I don't remember exactly where, but it was like, write down what you want and put it somewhere where you can see it. And that's what he got from it. So it made me realize this book is even more powerful than I thought.
Mhm.
And working with this book with a coach, I go to the gym, I exercise, I think I'm in good shape. I think I know how to use all the little machines in the gym. But even people like me that know what they're doing when they go to the gym, if they hire a trainer, a personal trainer to work out with them, they're going to have exponentially better results. They just are. And it's not because the trainer's teaching them how to work out. They already know how to work out. The trainer's holding them accountable. The trainer's, keeping them on task. The trainer is coaching them. And if the personal trainer is any good, there are days when you don't like him or her. Leg day hurts and you don't want to do it, and they make you do it, and they make you add more weight or do it or do cardio longer, or all of those things. You need an external force to push you. So when you suggested the idea of diving deeper into this book as coaches and record it, that would be, if one person got, extra out of the book, then it's totally worth doing. Because the book, I mean, a lot of people have read this book and it made no impact, and they didn't like it, and they didn't impact, and they're not rich. They didn't, their life isn't better. But all of the people I know who are very, very successful and have purpose-driven lives, when I mention this book, they tell me they read it. If I ask 10 people who seem to have everything in order, they all 10 of them read it without fail. So it's not a guarantee, but just like anything else, the more you put into it, the more you get out of it.
Yes, and it's not only reading book. Yes, it is implementing, because this book is not just the information. It is clear instruction, what to do, how to do, and when to do. So the most important is really exactly implement what it is described there. And this is how this will help to create the new habits. Yes, new habits and new understanding of things, and raise our awareness, because this is not something that was taught to us when we were in school. It is not taught anywhere. It is new laws, and this is new understanding of reality. And most of people live from their low potential, that is their body, to high. They so detached to their five senses, ability to hear, smell, taste, and touch. And in this book, we learn how to live from high potential, which is our thoughts and which is our intellect, yes, medium potential, to the low potential. It means that to create ideas, and by keeping them in our mind and becoming passionate about this and believing in that and doing certain techniques to impress these ideas into subconscious mind, and then subconscious mind will make our body to act in a different way, because we will be in different vibration when we start thinking the way as this book explains.
Well, I mean, yes, you're 100% right. It comes down to when you really want something, it's amazing how persuasive and how diligent and how hard you'll work towards a goal when you really, really want it. Because I've known people who were shiftless, no real direction about things. They weren't sure what they were going to do. They dropped out of school. They changed jobs all the time. They didn't really seem organized and focused and effective at anything. But then you go out with them, and Sky, he's looking to hook up with a woman. That's his goal. He wants to do that more than anything. Like a light bulb goes off. All of a sudden, they're charming, they're friendly, their face is more attractive. They have got a goal, and the goal is in mind, and everything they're doing leads up to the goal. What is the goal? They're trying to get this girl to go on a date with them or more. That's what they're trying to do. And I had noticed that in people. And when I read, I mean, there was a chapter on highly sexed people. It was, highly sexed, where people are just driven by that. And the people that are driven by that, imagine if they would take the persuasiveness, the consistency, the goal-based functioning, the organization, the performing on a high level consistently because you have a goal, you have a definite purpose, you know what it is, you know exactly what you're trying to do. In fact, usually the girls know exactly what the guys are trying to do. It's kind of a dance to see who does the best, who earns it. But if those people would have applied that type of energy to a minimum wage entry level job, they'd be, regional vice president now. Because,
Exactly.
that's what the book does. It's got a 13-step process. I love that it gives you a plan of action, but it's really a book based on the power of thought. And it says the key is your desire. If you desire something enough, that will make you move. But thoughts are things. That's a phrase that the book starts talking about early. Thoughts are things. And um it says in the introduction, beyond wealth. It applies to any area of fulfillment. And that was the connection I made with my friend, that I didn't realize it could do that. Trent wanted a life partner. That's what he wanted, but he was striking out, having no success at that. And after reading the book, he got really organized. He applied the principles. He had a plan of action that included a little piece of paper that he put in his wallet. And it happened. And it's still happening. That's a direct result of this book. We met for lunch a couple of years ago, but it had been 10 years since I'd seen Trent. And I said, "Do you remember when you wrote that down and you put it in your wallet and that's still your relationship?" He goes, "Yeah, that's how I do everything now." I had a goal. I wanted to buy 4 houses in 1 year and I wanted to pay them off. It's like, you can't pay off 4 houses in 1 year. You can if you make it your goal and you write it down on a piece of paper and you put it in your wallet. Like he puts the whole 13 steps into it, and it's amazing. So he's like living life without any limitations, and he's doing exactly what he wants because he's channeling his desire in an intelligent way.
Yes, exactly. Because it doesn't take any different energy to think about abundance and to think about something miserable things or being average, because it is the same energy which comes to us and through us. And by choosing thoughts, we give this energy the physical form. So it's just up to us what to think. So it doesn't matter what you think about. You just have to think about this in a certain way and do other things in a certain way to make it your reality.
Well, it helps you see things in a better light because, face it, if you watch TV, what's on TV? I mean, either mindless, funny stuff or fake drama or world events. How do we digest that? Well, they got to make money, so they got to sell ads. What sells ads? Scary, bad news. So what what are we seeing when we're watching the news? And it's not what's happening, it's how we react to it. Um, Everybody in the United States, it seemed like for a whole year, was really, really upset about what was happening between Russia and Ukraine. Really upset, like upset. Um, so much so that they ignored a deficit and spent $1 trillion on, helping with this thing going on, which I still don't know how it was more important than our, economy. But everybody's reaction, and then the reaction off the reaction, and then the networks were realizing, hey, people are tuning in to see coverage on this. And so let's pump more of it. Let's look for any kind of thing. You can't control what images come to you and how they come to you. What you can control is how you react to it. And that's what I learned from this book was you can absolutely be a victim. That's your option. You can absolutely take challenges and turn them into opportunities. You can do whatever you want. It's up to you. It's your thoughts, and your thoughts are They're not just a thing. They're like really, really important. That's you get that in the introduction, right? I mean, that's right out the gate. You're learning that. But I think it's a great book. I think it's a great idea. I'm excited that when we were talking, I brought the book up just by chance, and I wasn't expecting to hear how much enthusiasm you had. You sounded to me like you liked the book the same way I did. And
Exactly, because my mentor Bob Proctor read this book for 60 years every day, every day. So it was like his Bible. And all his life and what he achieved, he just says that it all became possible because of this book. And not only him, there are millions of people who was impacted with this book. And exactly as you said, that when they started implementing exactly what is written there. That's why I want us not just to read this book, but really go deep and explain at its depth what is the vision, because it is not that people will read and understand. It is good if they understand just 5%, 10% initially, because it is so deep book and people get information through the prism of their awareness. Yes, how aware they are, how conscious they are. So I think that when we create the series of episodes for each chapter and we go deep, each chapter should be listened and listen again and again. And every time people will listen, they will still find so much golden nuggets.
well, and it doesn't matter. You can get a message and it could beat you over the head. If you're not ready to hear it, you're not going to hear it. But if you're ready to hear the message, someone across the street can whisper it, and you got it. It's being ready. And yeah, I've read the book multiple times, and each time I got something completely different out of it. And I'm sure if I read it again, same thing would happen. It's
Exactly.
I made my kids read it in high school. And I think it had a profound effect on their academics. I have 4 kids. One of them is a sophomore in college. He's the baby. All the rest graduated, got at least one degree, well-earning jobs. No issues. They paid their way through college. I didn't have to give them any college money. They didn't have to get student loans, which is a big it's a big problem here, the cost of education. And but education's free if you're really smart or if you're good at sports. So they decided they wanted an education. So the way they approached their studies was, I need to make this score on this test to keep this average so that I can get this scholarship. And that was like the highly sexed guy. I have a goal and everything I'm doing is toward that goal. You don't see that in high school age kids. You don't see that in college kids, except like the really high achievers. But people like me that went to college, and I remember more what I did on the weekends than what I did in class, because I was not ready to go to college when I went. And so it wasn't a waste of money, but I spent a lot of time. I spent years doing something I could have done in much shorter period of time if I'd just been open and ready. And that's why I thought it was important my kids read the book. My oldest son, he recently told me he bought his 3rd copy of the book. And he's about to turn 34.
Mhm.
Right. He's older than I am. I I don't think of myself as old as he is. But he is the director of land management for a company called Chevron, which is an oil company in Texas that is, if not the biggest, one of the biggest oil production companies in the country. And he does oil and natural gas, all the land. I mean, they're buying and selling land all over the world. All those transactions run through him. He makes a very big salary. He has a bunch of people that work for him. He's just 33.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. This
There
is
are people older than him that have worked there longer than him that he
Mm.
might earn double what they earn.
Yeah, this
And
is a
because of the
example.
focus, and I don't want to say it's all the book. The book is not magic. You got to read it. You got to delve into it. I think having a discussion group like this will give people it'll be like a tool. It's easy for some people. If it's a podcast, they can listen to it when they're commuting, or they can listen to it when they're exercising or cleaning the house or whatever. You know, my wife listens to podcasts nonstop, all kinds of podcasts. That's also, we recently drove to New Orleans, a 2 hour round trip. I listened to her podcasts the whole way there and the whole way back. And she's not unusual. A lot of people do that.
Yes, yes, because I think this is time now when people really have hunger for really true knowledge and for something that not just information, but really information which can empower them, which can transform them, which can help them to bring the best to the surface and get those goals which they have.
And it's not filtered. So, I mean, you can listen to
Mhm.
someone's story, even a tragic story.
Mhm.
If it's real, you can take something from that story, even if it's just like, hey, I'm going to make sure I have a can of mace with me when I'm walking around at night. Had this person had that in this crime story, it would have turned out a lot different. Or it could be, I'm refused to be a victim, or I don't need to go there. You know, whatever it is, it's real. It's not targeted. It's not, there's no focus groups. There's no marketing message. It's just the people talking. I mean,
Yes, exactly.
I don't think we'll sell books or make money from selling books. Although if I were you, I'd put an affiliate link in the recording just because. But I think the book is really good. And if it gets traction and a bunch of people interact with it, it could turn into a community. If it turns into a community, then I think we might have a responsibility to create a course or a workbook or an interactive guide, or there's things we can do, but it really just starts with exploring it at a deeper level than just reading it.
Yes, there is already one workbook for Think and Grow Rich, and
Oh,
we
really?
can do the course using that workbook, yes, to enrich our listeners' experience and really help them to get into action. Yes, I was thinking about this, that we record this series and then we will also go through workbook and we can even show how we do it. Yes, and we can
And there's a
invite.
bunch of, it's not the only book in this genre. There's a bunch of wonderful books. I mean, Stephen Covey wrote some great books. Um, there was another book around the same time, something about rich, the science of getting
The
rich.
Science of Getting Rich. Yeah.
The what?
The Science of Getting Rich.
That book. That's a great book too. And a
Yes,
lot of people get a
that
lot
was
out of that.
yes, that was is also one of my favorite book. It is small book. Was called before A Little Green Book, and then it got another name, The Science of Getting Rich, and that was also one of my favorite book. Of course, like let's start with Think and Grow Rich, and then we can
Right.
continue this, and this is how we can invite people who would like to go deeper to this community and help them to transform their
Yeah,
lives as
and
well.
I have a subscription. Like I don't know what you use as a platform, but that I use StreamYard. I don't know if you've ever seen StreamYard.
Yes, yes, of course. We can use StreamYard, yes, and take
And I'm
it.
just saying that because I already paid for it. You know, it's not it's the quality is way better than Zoom, and I'm sensitive to Zoom because like I told you, I'm rural. I'm in the country. My internet sometimes isn't that strong, but the way StreamYard works is it records you on your computer. It would record you on your computer, and after it's over, it uploads both of us to the server. And then, so while we could be watching a Zoom call and it looks like I froze. To me, it doesn't look like I froze. It looks like I froze to you. In fact, my internet might be messed up and I'm freezing to you, but to me, it looks like you're freezing.
Mhm.
And it's funny because when I would be editing these, I would be talking and the other person is like, "Where'd you go? Oh no, what happened?" At the same time, he's talking because I don't know necessarily that he can't see me. And I'm recording a perfectly clear image. There's no problem with it. Um, so I like that because there's nothing worse than a frozen screen or pixelated or the image quality goes to hell. That's it takes away from it. And then that's what people remember instead of whatever it was we were talking about.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. Let's do that.
All right. Well, I got a call that I'm going to get in about an hour or so. And after that call, what I'll do is I'll just set a recurring meeting for us. And you can accept it. If there's a problem, reply, say, "Oh, I forgot. I do, underwater yoga on Tuesdays. I can't do that." Whatever it is. I mean,
Let's get it serious. And once we set the time, we will record and bring our best to create this
yeah,
very
it'll be
powerful.
16 episodes, and I fully expect the first one to not be nearly as good as the last one.
Okay, there is always space to improve.
Oh, wait, yeah, it just will. You'd be like, "I can't believe. Look at the first one. Oh my God, what was I? Who fixed my hair? What the hell? What's going on?"
We're growing every day, right? So
Every
this
day.
is exactly what will happen.
But no, I'm excited. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, okay, great. So let me know, Paul, what will be time for next week according to your events, other events, and we'll go from there.
That works.
So thank you and speak to you soon.
All right. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.